Look how slimy it is. Look at that. This is natto, homemade natto.
How to make natto at home, the complete guide. That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya, the Natto King. I am the author of Natto Unleashed and the Ikigai Diet. Okay, how to make natto at home. I'm sure many people are interested in this topic, and I have made some videos on it too, but this one is the complete guide. This is the most comprehensive video on how to make natto at home. Yeah, so please watch this one, even though you've watched my other video. Yeah, and please watch till the end because this is very important. If you want to learn the correct way of making natto at home, if you want to learn the proper way, then please watch until the end. And also, we have a bonus feature at the end too, right? Okay, so first of all, you don't need to make natto at home. You can always buy store-bought natto. That's no problem. Yeah. And especially if you live in Japan, there are plenty of natto sold everywhere. However, if you live in other countries, maybe sometimes it is difficult to get hold of natto. Yeah. And there are three reasons you want to make natto at home. Yeah. One is natto is not always available. And two, even though they are available, they tend to be more expensive. Yeah, they tend to be more expensive than they are in Japan. And you can't get organic natto easily, right? So in Japan, most natto sold are not organic. There's only one or two packages that are organic. And also sometimes you have to worry about GM, whether the beans are GM free or not. In Japan, most natto sold are using GM free soybeans. However, in other countries, I don't know. You're not 100% sure, so you need to check. But if you make your own natto at home, then you can choose. You can choose the GM free soybeans, you can choose organic soybeans, and you can choose local soybeans. All right, so the procedures of making natto at home. One, soaking the beans. Two, steaming the beans. Three, disinfecting in boiling water. For any item that you'll be using for the fermentation, you need to disinfect them. And four, inoculating Bacillus subtilis to the beans. Bacillus subtilis is the bacteria you need to ferment the soybean. It is also called natto bacteria or nattokin. Five, fermenting the beans. Six, cooling the natto in the fridge. Now, three ways to inoculate nattokin to the soybeans. Inoculate Bacillus subtilis to the soybeans. One, using store-bought natto beans because, of course, natto contains Bacillus subtilis. So if you use a few, beans from a packaged natto, you can use them to inoculate other soybeans. And using manufactured natto starter spores. Yeah, there are some, natto starter sold, so you can use them to inoculate to the soybeans. Or using a wild plant. Actually, Bacillus subtilis exists on any wild plant. And in fact, this is the traditional way of making natto. Now, so advantages of store-bought natto beans is that it is easy and simple. In fact, most videos talk about this method because this is easy and simple. So yeah, it is the most popular way. And Bacillus subtilis is optimized. Yeah, usually, so each natto company has their own laboratory and they produce their own nattokin, natto bacteria, and that is kind of optimized. However, there are some disadvantages that Bacillus subtilis is optimized, but that means it is unified and not local. Yeah, it is produced at a laboratory somewhere in Japan, and it is not local. Yeah, and they make thousands of natto packages using the same bacteria, so it is all unified. Plus, you don't know much about the bacteria used. Yeah, when you buy natto, they have information about ingredients. Yeah, but I don't think they have, enough information about the bacteria they're using, how it was, developed in their laboratory and so on. Manufactured natto starter spores. Advantages: Bacillus subtilis is optimized in the same way as store-bought natto, so it is produced in a laboratory. And you know about the bacteria used a lot more than for the store-bought nattos, because you're actually buying the bacteria itself. So probably in the package, there should be more information on the bacteria. And disadvantages, yeah, the same thing. Bacillus subtilis is unified and not local. Okay, so using a wild plant, advantages: Bacillus subtilis is natural and local. So you can use a local bacteria to make natto. And then it is natural. So when you produce nattokin in a laboratory, I mean, of course, they say it is natural, but you don't know the process. You don't know how they do it. Yeah. So they might add something. We don't know. They might add all kind of ingredient to optimize it. Yeah. So we don't know the process. But at least if you're using Bacillus subtilis in the wild plant, it is completely natural. It's untouched. Yeah. And disadvantages, Bacillus subtilis is not optimized in the laboratory, yeah, and therefore may not be sanitary safe. However, I prefer to use a wild plant. Because of this point, it is natural and local, and especially the fact that it is local is quite important. Why? Because of Shindo Fuji. Yeah, I often talk about Shindo Fuji in the Ikigai diet. Yeah, it means body and soil are as one. So there's a view saying that the gut microbiome and soil microbiome are connected, and it is better to eat local foods such as local vegetables because they are grown with the help of your local soil microbiome, and your local soil microbiome is connected to your gut microbiome. Therefore, these local foods are more suitable to your gut. So the same thing can be true about natto. If you can make natto using your local nattokin, then maybe it is more suitable to your own gut microbiome. Okay, so what wild plants you can use? The most popular one is rice toro, and in Japan, we have been using it for centuries. Yeah, you have probably seen this. Yeah, this is how we make natto in the past. Yeah, so you basically wrap soybeans in a kind of rice toro kind of container like this. Yeah, yeah. Um, but the Bacillus subtilis exists in any wild plant. Yeah. I have made natto using mint in my garden. So, mint or any other kind of herbs, it is possible. Yeah. And also in Nepal, there are fermented soybeans called kinema. And then usually they use banana leaves to make kinema. Yeah. So any kind of wild plant are okay. However, usually it is said that dry plants contain more Bacillus subtilis. So the best option would be rice toro, wheat toro, or corn toro, something like that, like dried plant. Yeah. But if you cannot get hold of them, then you can maybe try finding edible plants from your garden. Yeah. Now, so the thing about rice toro is it's been tested, many times, and we know it works because many people have tried this method for hundreds of years, right? Well, something like mint, I mean, I used it and it worked for me, but it doesn't mean it works every time. So it is still less reliable compared to rice toro and stuff like that. So you need to be aware of this fact if you try a new wild plant. But everything is experiment. You just need to play it around by, experimenting with different plants to see, which one works well. Now, so how to make natto from rice toro stick? So this time I'll show you how to make natto using rice toro sticks. Okay, so things you need: organic soybeans and local soybeans and GM-free soybeans, of course, a pressure cooker, a yogurt maker, a pressure cooker rack, a stainless steel steam rack or a steamer that fits inside the pressure cooker, a cotton cloth, and rice toro sticks. Now, so soaking the beans. So with 3 times as much water as the amount of soybeans, yeah, you need to soak the beans somewhere between 12 to 24 hours. In summertime, maybe 12 hours is enough, but in wintertime, you need 24 hours. But the length of soaking time is very important. You need to soak the beans long enough. This will affect the fermentation, process. So the longer you soak the beans, the better it is. So even in summertime, I soak the beans for about 24 hours. Yeah. But in that case, you need to change water once. Yeah. Because water goes bad. So you need to change water maybe after 12 hours and so on. Yeah. Now, so steaming the beans. So this is this is a pressure cooker rack. And this is a stainless steel steam rack. And first you put the pressure cooker rack in the pressure cooker and then pour water to fill the pressure cooker rack. Then you put the steam rack and then you put soybeans on top and then you close the lid and then you set the pressure to high. This is high pressure. This is low pressure. You set the pressure to high. And then you cook it for about 15 minutes with a high flame. Yeah, until the pressure comes on. Now, so 15 minutes is just rough time, yeah? But you need to do this until the pressure comes on. Okay. And when the pressure comes on, turn down the gas to a low flame and then cook another 30 minutes. Yeah. And then 30 minutes after you turn the gas off and wait for another 15 minutes until the pressure comes off. Again, 15 minutes is just a rough time. Yeah. You need to wait until the pressure comes off completely. So sometimes it might take 20 minutes. Yeah. Now, next step is disinfecting in boiling water. So any items you use for the fermentation, they need to be disinfected. Now, so first of all, that is rice toro, yeah, that need to be disinfected. So while waiting, while you're waiting for the pressure to come off, you prepare rice toro. First, you cut them into short sticks, the short enough to put in the container of the yogurt maker. Yeah. And then wash them well to take that off. and put them in boiling water for 1 minute. Yeah, so boiling water means 100 degrees centigrade or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. This brief exposure to high temperatures kills most germs that may be present on the straw while triggering the heat-resistant Bacillus subtilis to form protective spores. So this is the unique thing about Bacillus subtilis is when it faces unfavorable condition and it forms spores to protect itself. So Bacillus subtilis, the bacteria doesn't die even in boiling water, while most germs die. So this is a good way to separate, natto bacteria from other bacteria. And every other item that you'll be using for the fermentation needs to be disinfected in the same fashion. So the cotton cloth need to be washed in boiling water. And then the container of the yogurt maker need to be disinfected. And the ladle that you'll be using to put steamed soybeans into the container need to be cleansed as well. The next step, inoculating Bacillus subtilis. Okay, so now when the pressure came off, so you open the lid and check the soybeans, whether they are soft enough or not. Now, using your thumb and index finger, if you could, squash or squeeze it easily, that means the bean is soft enough. But if not, you need to pressure sieve them a little longer. Okay, and then, so if the beans are soft enough, then you, using the ladle, which you just cleansed, you put the beans into the container of the yogurt maker. And then you stick the rice straw sticks into the beans, to make sure that the Bacillus subtilis in the straw sticks kind of spread to many beans. And then you cover the beans with a cotton cloth, which you just cleansed, and then leave some space open like this to let the oxygen come in. So you use the cotton cloth to keep the moisture inside, but you need to let the oxygen come in too. And then you put the lid on. So next step is setting up for fermentation. Okay, so you put the container in the yogurt maker, and then you cover it with a paper towel and keep the lid open to let oxygen in here too. And then, so the temperature is between 40 to 45 degrees centigrade, and that is 104 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. I usually set it at 45 degrees to make sure, The benefit of a yogurt maker is that you can keep this temperature throughout the 24 hours period. Right. So there are other ways to ferment soybeans. So the bottom line is if you can keep the steamed soybeans, at a sort of temperature between 40 to 45 degrees centigrade, for the period of maybe 24 to 30 hours, the beans will be fermented. So if you can find some way, then you can use that. Like for example, more natural way would be to use a styrofoam box. So you can put the container in a styrofoam box, and then you put some hot water bottles. And then you put the lid on, and then the inside becomes quite hot. It becomes somewhere between like 40 to 45 degrees. And then if you can keep that for 24 hours, that is another way. However, maintaining the temperature is very difficult. But with that method, you need to keep changing the hot water bottle every 6 hours. So you need to be at home. If you, go out for 8 hours or something, then you miss the timing. Yeah. So I've used that method and sometimes it worked, but I also failed many times too. And this yogurt maker is a lot more reliable. So now I use it. Yeah. Now, again, the important thing is sustainability and doability. If you want to continue making natto, yeah, I've been making natto for nearly 10 years, every single week. Yeah. Um, Other people who kind of use the natural method, they usually failed a few times and they gave up. So they're not making natto now. Yeah. And then set the timer for 24 hours. Okay, so after 24 hours, yeah, soybeans are fermented. So you open the lid and then check inside, see these white films. Yeah, that means beans are fermented. Yeah, that this white color is a sign of fermentation. Then you take the sticks out and then stir the beans. So you see these white kind of stickiness. So that's the natto bacteria. So beans are fermented. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, this is natto. All right. So congratulations. Once you got to this point, you have successfully fermented the soybeans. And at this point, you can start eating natto too. However, most people in Japan do the final step, that is to cool the natto. So you put the container in the fridge for another 24 hours to cool the beans off. Yeah, that's it. Then you can start eating. So yeah, so that's how you make natto. All right. So to sum up, first soaking the beans, yeah, with 3 times as much water, 12 to 24 hours. Now, again, don't kind of stick to the hours so much. It's more like you need to really look at the beans and whether they are like soft enough and so on. And also depending on the temperature too. Yeah. Steaming the beans, yeah, 15 minutes with a high flame, 30 minutes with a low flame, and 15 minutes after turning the gas off. Again, the time is, roughly, you need to really check with the beans. And inoculate Bacillus subtilis with rice straw sticks. And ferment the beans for 24 hours at 45 degrees centigrade. Cooling the natto in the fridge for 24 hours. Okay, so there is an information about DIY natto in the book, Natto Unleashed. So please read the book. Plus, there are a lot of other useful information about natto, such as health benefits of natto, recipes, many natto recipes, and navigating natto's taste, and natto hacking, how to, optimize natto eating for biohacking. The book is available on Amazon as Kindle and print-on-demand paperback. Okay, so thank you for watching until the end. As I told you, there's a bonus feature at the end, and this is the Q&A. So this is the question I often receive. Yeah, so I tried everything you said, and beans are kind of fermented, but not as slimy as yours. Okay, so first of all, it changes depending on the beans, the wild plant, and the environment. So, it doesn't become the same. Yeah. And also the fact that the beans are fermented, like if they are like a white film, that means the fermentation was successful. Yeah. And then, but you need to try several times. And quite often you fail the first time. But, the second time, third time, you kind of get the hang of it and then you become successful. Yeah. You need to, adjust each time. Yeah. Now, with that said, there are several reasons that beans are not as slimy. Yeah. Number one, the soaking time. Yeah. Did you soak the beans long enough? Yeah, that is important. And the steaming time, did you steam the beans long enough? Right. Now, so some people use regular cooker to steam the beans. Yeah, you can use the regular cooker to steam the beans too. You don't need to use the pressure cooker, but it takes a long time, at least 3 hours. Yeah. So the reason why I use a pressure cooker is it's much faster. And if you think of making natto every week, yeah, it is so much easier. Yeah. But when you use a regular cooker, it is possible that the steaming time wasn't enough, and the fermentation time and the temperature. Yeah. So if you're using a yogurt maker, should be fine. But if you're using some other method, sometime this is questionable, right? And then finally, the starter, the condition of the starter, which starter you're using, and so on. If you're using, white storo or wheat storo, probably there are more Bacillus subtilis. But if you choose to use something like mint, I'm sure there is some Bacillus subtilis, but probably the amount is less. So you may have to use a bit more. Yeah, you may have to use more mint sticks. Yeah, because remember that traditionally when we made natto using rice storo, they covered soybeans, yeah, with the kind of a rice storo kind of container, really. Yeah, and the same thing is true in Nepal when they made kinema, yeah, using banana leaves. They wrap the soybeans with the banana leaves. Yeah, so the soybeans were more exposed to the leaf or the plant. So that means probably more beans are exposed to the Bacillus subtilis. Yeah. So because I'm using the yogurt maker, I didn't want to put too many sticks, right? So I probably put, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 rice storo sticks, but maybe it was enough, but you may want to put more. Yeah. And if you're using some other wild plant, you might need to put more mint sticks and so on. Yeah. And then don't just use mint because I used it. And the reason why I used mint was because mint was available in my garden. Like there's tons of mint in my garden. Yeah. So I just thought, I just wanted to use it. Yeah. But every region has maybe a different plant. And then we don't know the amount of Bacillus subtilis in each wild plant. So like in mint in my garden, maybe have a lot of Bacillus subtilis, but it doesn't mean the mint in your garden have the same amount too. So experiment yourself. Try to find the best wild plant for you. Yeah. In fact, experimenting is very important when you make natto, when you do anything, any kind of a biohacking activity. The more you experiment, the more you become aware of yourself, your environment, and everything, and that will help your health and longevity anyway. Yeah, because it will also help you understand about your diet, your exercise, fasting, and everything. Yeah, so learn from trying. Yeah, so in fact, the fact that you failed is a good because you learned something. You learned that maybe the amount wasn't enough, or soaking time wasn't enough, and so on. So I didn't succeed from the first time. I failed many times, and eventually I got hang of it, and then now I'm able to make natto. Right. So it takes time. Yeah. But so don't feel discouraged by failing a few times. It happens. Many people fail in the beginning, but eventually you'll get it right. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope your natto making will be a success. Yeah, so please try making one. Right. Okay, so again, my name is Sachiaki Takamiya, the Natto King. I am the author of Natto Unleashed and Ikigai Diet. If you like this video, please give me your thumb up and subscribe to my channel. And please leave your comment. Have you made natto at home and how did it go? Thank you very much. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Live with your Ikigai!